I don't know if you know about the idea of the progress trap. Have you heard of that before?
I haven't, but I have a feeling of where this is going, but I'd like to hear more.
I might edit this part out depending, because I don't want to bring it up on every episode, but it's this idea that if you have a problem and you create a new technology to solve that problem, that new technology can create unforeseen other new problems, and then you think that, okay, now I need to come up with a solution for this new problem. Mm-hmm. And it's this kind of never-ending cycle that kind of we always, and so I was speculating that we almost kind of need to by default kind of take a step back, or try to solve things by addition by subtraction. Okay, this thing is causing an issue. Instead of making a new thing to fix that, can we take something away and reduce? I don't know. That's something I think is a big, because it seems like there's new apps kind of blowing up overnight pretty regularly, and privacy's kind of gone out the window. People don't seem to care about it. They care, but not enough to abstain from apps, which I still am very iffy on myself. And I just think people are perhaps not as mindful about their technological use. I'm used to always having some kind of a conversation around this, but I don't want to force it. So I figured I'd say, do you have any thoughts on that you want to share?
I think in general, not only with, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. In general, not only with technology, but things like I have too much laundry. I'm constantly doing laundry. I'm so tired of it. One of the solutions could be having less clothes. I have too many options. Okay, well, have less things to choose from. I have all of those books on the shelf. If I have to think of one book to read, it's a lot easier to choose from two than it is from all of them. So I think that makes a lot of sense, that concept of progress leading to more problems in that way. And I think that really reinforces my own desire. And I think a lot of people have this desire lately to pull away. Yes, technology is great. It is the way that I make an income, but I do need to remember to take time away from it, rather than let me find more apps, let me find more things to help organize me. Let me pull away and just clear my mind for a second. And then sometimes the problem solves itself because I had the space to think, I had the space to breathe. If I do take that break, then I'm not burnt out, and then I can be more effective when I do come back to it. Something that I could add that is on my mind, this goes back to misconceptions about TikTokers and influencers in any way. And an issue with technology is that our brains and our capacity to create change is limited. And people seem to forget that just because we have so much exposure to so much information. The way that connects to the misconceptions about influencers is people will tell people, myself included, all the time, you need to speak on this. Have you spoken on this? Did you tell your followers about this? And that's really not my place. Because while I do have access to, okay, this is going on in this other country, that doesn't mean that I'm the person with the information, with the right perspective to speak on every single subject. I'm not a news anchor. I didn't study journalism. I don't know how to be considerate and compassionate for all of the voices. If you only give me your perspective, I can only share your perspective, but why should I share your perspective? I don't know everybody's perspective. And that's how misinformation gets out and all of these issues. And everybody has the opportunity to hear about, this is a term, what is blackface? What is blackfishing? What is Asian fishing? You hear all of these terms and people just assume that they understand them. And then they assume that they know how to use them properly. And then they go around and accuse people of doing things that are not doing those things because you didn't really take the time to sit and understand, because we're not learning from a one-on-one interaction. And even when people do go to TikTok to try to find humans to interact with, it's only 15-second clips. There's not enough nuance in the conversations, and they don't always go both ways. And then because of the misconception, we can't always give you everything. If you have 2,000 people asking you questions, you can't have that conversation with every single person in the way that they want to take the conversation. So another demise of internet.
Was it? I think on our initial call that wasn't recorded, I think you had said something about, or maybe it was somebody else I'm misremembering, but somebody had said to me about how Gen Zers seem like they have a harder, like they just, when they need to find an answer to something, their first, I was like, oh, I'll go check on TikTok rather than sort of maybe a more like, I'll go search Wikipedia, or I'll go find a book, or I'll search like for YouTube for like a long in-depth video. And that they are like a little bit more not helpless, but like they're not as, maybe their like research skills are not as tuned. Was that you that was saying something like that, or am I completely misremembering?
That definitely wasn't me, but I do have some
Okay.
thoughts if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I actually don't think that that's necessarily a Gen Z problem. I think that that's more of the population than we think of. Like, I was very fortunate to go to a university that taught me great research skills, and I generally can be I'm like on both ends of the spectrum with this. I either trust people way too much or I don't trust anyone at all. So I'm very wary of subjects that are new to me, and I want to find the peer-reviewed articles and the books with the credentialed authors and la 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 la. But I also can hold space for, I want to learn both from the person as an individual going through the experience and from the person with the credential who studied the experience, because I do recognize that there is value in both, especially because our society is functioning off of the way the professional sees it, whether we like it or not. And maybe we do want it to change, but it is what it is right now. And we need to know how to work with the system as it is right now in order to change it. But as far as just people in general, I wouldn't say that it's a Gen Z thing. In my experience, who go to people first, it does make sense to me, because if you think about us back when we were more in village and community without industrial revolution, that's who we would go to. We would go to people that we know and like and trust. And now with our parasocial relationships, those are people on TikTok.
That's a very interesting point. Thank you for sharing that. Like I said, I feel like I could ask you any question, you'll have an interesting answer.
That's honestly the hardest part of me creating content right now, is I'm like, people just please ask me questions and I'll answer, because I don't know what to say out of nowhere, but I know I have smart things to say. I just need like a prompt to get them out.
I feel similarly, but I guess that there's obviously certain areas that I don't feel as well versed in, and so like I feel I'm much more like speculative, or I'd be much more likely to kind of say go and talk to this person instead for like a better answer. But yeah, I sort of thing, my brain is just full of all the different information that I come across on a daily basis, and I'm always like excited when there's an opportunity for that information to be useful outside of my head.
Yeah. Same.
but like I don't want to just, yeah, wouldn't want people to be constantly coming to me, be like, Lacey, what about this? What about this? Like, so that's why I like to, controlled release of like doing interviews or doing vlogs or blogs or whatever.